Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Caterpillar Mining webinar. I know you're joining us from all over the globe, and we're very grateful for that. Thank you for your interest and participation at whatever time of day it is for you. My name is Alyssa Stefano, and I am the Global Marketing Lead for the CAT Large Dozers. I'm based at our Tucson Mining Center in Tucson, Arizona, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. I'm very excited to help present today's material, introducing the new D10 Dozer, Innovation on Track. It's built on more than 45 years of D10 Dozer excellence, and this latest machine is more productive, more efficient, and more serviceable than ever before. And today, we're going to explain and show you the innovative features that drive those benefits. With me on the call today is Ewan Herr, Product Application Specialist for the D10. She graduated from the South Dakota School of Mines with a bachelor's degree in mining engineering and management, and worked at Komatsu before joining us at Caterpillar. At Komatsu, she served in engineering roles for both underground mining applications and electric drive truck performance. She handles the commercial support for D10 globally and is based in Peoria, Illinois. Corey Metz has been with Caterpillar for more than 10 years. He has engineering experience for various components in the motor graders, wheel loaders, mining trucks, and dozers product lines. He's currently an application specialist for the D9 large dozer, but he lends his dozer expertise to our other products in the large dozer family when we need it. He received his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Bradley University, and he is also based in Peoria, Illinois. Now, just a couple of housekeeping items. The screen in front of you is interactive, as is today's webinar. Feel free to navigate and explore all of the buttons and sections surrounding the presentation. For example, you'll find a product brochure and some other related documents available for download from the resources section on the left. Please use the chat function and also in the left side of your screen to ask any questions that arise as we go through the material. You can type your questions in at any point throughout the webinar, and we'll dedicate the time at the end of the presentation to answer them live. If we don't have time to answer all of your questions, we'll follow up with you via email. Please also note that this meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing in the future. Now, a word about Caterpillar's values in action. Be safe, be present, champion the power of everyone, win the right way, and be cyber safe. These are values that we live by, not just at the workplace or just during working hours, but always. And we encourage you to do the same. A quick word about Caterpillar's #1 value, safety. Please take a minute to familiarize yourself with the emergency phone numbers and procedures at your current location, be it in an office, at home, or wherever you're joining us from. Know what to do in the case of a take cover or evacuation situation, and identify key people to assist with CPR, AEDs, and any other emergency needs. I'll give you a brief moment to consider the important factors on the screen. Before we jump into the webinar content, I'd like to kick things off with a poll. Hey, I mentioned that this webinar would be interactive. So which option best describes your current role or job function? Are you an operator or mechanic? Are you an engineer or maybe part of the engineering team? Are you in management, maybe senior management? Maybe you're in procurement or finance. Or if you're like me and you work in marketing, or maybe you have multiple people watching the webinar together, then you can select other. And if you do select the other option, let us know what your job title is by typing it into the chat. So if you haven't yet, please select the appropriate option now. And just as a reminder, we're looking for your current job role and function. Maybe you're an operator or you're in mechanics and you're a mechanic, engineer or engineering team, management, procurement or finance, or other if you are a marketing guru like myself. Okay, so please select that option there, the best option for you. Okay, looks like the results are in, and the majority has actually come from other. So I'm really curious to hear what other means to you guys, and if you are sitting in a room full of people, or if it's, you know, an other sort of job title. It looks like management came up in the second position as well. So great to see that. Wonderful to have you all on board. I'm really, really excited to jump into the material. Ewan and Corey, I'll now pass things over to you. Take us to the stuff that people actually want to hear about.
Well, thank you very much, Alyssa. We greatly appreciate you guys giving us an introduction here. So as Alyssa mentioned, I am Corey Metz. I am the D9 Application Specialist. Joining me today is Ewan Herr, the D10 Application Specialist, and we are really excited today to join us here live from the Caterpillar Visitor Center to talk about our new D10 tractor. Got a lot of history here, don't we, Ewan?
Yeah, so our first D10 was released in 1977, was rebranded to D11N. At that time, D9 was our largest machine, but customer needed something larger and more powerful, so D9 rebranded to D10. And one of the first D10 prototypes now is D11N, is still actually displayed outside our East Peoria facility. And we transitioned from the low drive to the high drive with elevated sprocket, with fully suspended undercarriage. That just provide operator much comfortable ride. And that is also the signature for the Cat Dozer. If you see a dozer with an elevated sprocket on the road with a triangle undercarriage, you will know that's Caterpillar Dozer.
Yeah, everybody recognizes that Caterpillar sound when those tracks clinking around. So that history of high drive has not left us. It still remains very much a core part of the large dozer team. So when we came out with the D10 in 1987, we did have to reclassify the D10 to the D11. And when we did so, we came and took the D9L and made it the D10N. And so we've gone through history now of upgrading to the D10R, the D10T, the D10T2. Each one of those basically either was tied to larger horsepower and weight or emissions update. And so as we've come along, now we're up here now to the D10 Fusion tractor. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today.
Yeah, our latest D10 next gen is right behind me. We just released like a couple months ago. It was developed from the voice of customer and collected from the regional feedback. So it's designed to improve the performance and increase the efficiency.
Yeah, that's a great point. So when we talk about customers, voice of customer is a key core component of Caterpillar. And we talk about large dozers, we really want to understand what our customers are thinking about our designs, what input do they have to do for the next generation of design. And these next generation dozers took a lot of customer feedback and input and made some key improvements where we felt like we needed to make them. So that's looking at extending maintenance intervals, improving our efficiency and our productivity, reducing emissions. We know that's a key part in today's environment out there today. So reducing emissions, reducing fuel burn, all that goes into this D10 tractor. So customers rely on these in a variety of different applications. But when we talk about applications, we also look at core design principles. And Ewan's going to talk about some of those core design principles that we hold near and dear to our heart for large dozers.
So all our D9, D10, D11 is actually built in a single design principles. So we talk about safety. The safety will be the first one, right? So we try to make our operator safe. And then secondly, recognize our dozer in a different application, like stock dozing, supporting truck dumps and loaders and reclamations and stockpile. So we need to make sure our dozer deliver the maximum productivity in all those applications. And also, we are the leader in the dozer technology. Our dozer leverage an advanced electronic architect and most updated technology. Next, our machine need to be easy serviceable. So we have lots of new features that we will show you on this machine to improve the serviceability, and we will go to more details. And then lastly, our dozer is built to be rebuilt. We need to increase machine lifetime to reduce customer costs and maximize their capital investment.
Yeah, so Ewan definitely mentioned we want to make sure we're productive in all applications. We use these D10s in a variety of different environments and applications. So we're going to talk about that here in just a moment on some of our application side. So we're actually going to bring up a poll now. And on this poll, we're going to talk about what applications that you guys use your dozers in today. We're going to focus this on the D10. So we're going to go through each one of these. So first one would be stockpile management, whether you're working on a coal stockpile, a wood chip stockpile, or any other aggregate. If you're working on a stockpile management, that's the one we'd ask you to select. Truck dump support. You're working a support application supporting truck dumps. So you're pushing over a high wall or cleaning up and doing berm management. That's where we would look at doing truck dump support. Loading support. So this would be pushing to a hydraulic mining shovel or a large wheel loader to help those machines be more productive. We know we use a lot of these types of machines. For D10 size machines, we'll push to a large wheel loader or to our hydraulic mining shovel to get them more productive. So that would be an example there that we would use for loading support. Overburden removal, or what we'd probably consider more as production dozing. So if you're using your dozers, your D10, in a production dozing environment, option 4 is what you'd want to select. Pioneering, if you're using the dozer for your first machine on site, you're trying to break that mine site open, or you're using it on a construction site to do initial land clearing. Pioneering is where we would have you guys vote for number 5. And then finally, other. Number 6, this is something else that we haven't talked about, so maybe an industrial or waste application. Go ahead and select other as your results for that option. So I kind of have a pretty good idea where I think we're going to end up here, Ewan, but I'm kind of curious to see where the poll results end up, or what kind of audience we have on today.
What do you think? Just the globally percentage?
I think the 2 support applications are going to be the highest. Yeah, but
truck support and
truck
load support
and loading support. I think are my expectations, but maybe stockpile and overburden removal might be up there as well.
For D9 would be more towards construction.
Yeah, typically on the D9 we see more on the construction side. The D11 we certainly see more of that production.
Mining.
Yeah, the mining production dozing side. So the D10 kind of fits in between.
Yeah, for the D10.
Absolutely. So get those results in. We're curious to see where you guys use your D10 in as today. Yeah, so we're pretty evenly split over actually production dozing one. So 30% on production dozing, 20% between truck support and stockpile management, 5% in loading support. So
yeah, so support will be like 25%. That's pretty even up. Yeah, so good. Yeah, thank you guys for your feedbacks.
Great. All right, we're going to go into some more detail here on the machine.
Yeah, as we mentioned, the voice of customer is very important to us. So one of the things we learn from our customer they asking for is more efficiency. The new D10 deliver up to 4% less fuel consumption because of the low sensing hydraulic that's carried from the D10 T2, stator clock torque divider that will go into details, and single plane cooling system that we will show you right now. And then the customer also asking for more productivities. The new D10 save up to 3% more productivity because of high horsepower reverse, the optimized drivetrain, and some upgraded technology that we will go to more detail. So together with all those new features, we can provide up to 6% more efficiency.
Yeah, that's key. So again, that goes back to that voice of customer we talked about a little bit ago, making sure we drive the voice of customer into these designs to make sure we're hitting the mark so we have the lowest total cost of ownership for you and your applications. So great point, Ewan. We're really excited to show this dozer to you guys today. We're going to go into a walk around next and show some more details on what we've added to this great machine.
Yeah, let's see together.
So Ewan, let's start here today with the blade. Let's talk about our different blade options that we offer.
Yeah, before we do that, I just want to make sure you guys understand we are actually live at Peoria Caterpillar Visitor Center in downtown Peoria, Illinois. So you can see this is kind of like a museum open to public. We are just so glad this machine has been sitting there for almost 2 months. That open to the public, they will be able to see the actual working machine that in their local community is a really big impact. And you can see like the signature on the blade. They are from the key developer and design engineer that key contributors that to this project, and they will be able to sign. And then at the same time, they brought their family into this museum and saw their sign the masterpiece. It's just so special to their family. So I would like to thank you, Corey, for organize this whole thing, schedule it to move it here. And this machine is actually from Tanaha, our Caterpillar Tanaha Hills. So I would like to thank you, Tanaha, for letting us borrow this machine. And we will, if you are a customer or dealers, and you may be able to see this machine operating in Tanaha Hills pretty soon. So let's talk about the blade. We are offering universal blade and semi-universal blade, so U blade and SU blade out of the factory. You see behind me, this is a U blade.
Yeah, that's a great point. So if you're looking for the blade that's going to give you the best pry-out force and basically the best penetration force, that's the SU blade. That's going to be our smallest blade offering on the D10. If you're looking for a little bit more productivity, or if you're working in less dense or looser materials, then we would recommend using a U-blade like is here behind us. You're going to get the most productivity in that less dense material with the U-blade. If you have other materials that you're working in, say you're working on a coal or a stockpile, like a wood chip stockpile application, we do offer those off of our work tool price list. So if you're looking for one of those, reach out to one of our dealers. We also offer reclamation blades and cushion dozer blades on that work tool price list for the D10. So if you're looking for those options, reach out to your dealer, local CAT dealer.
Yeah, let's move towards the side. If you see this big cylinder that connecting between the blade and the push arm, that's a dual tilt. We call it dual tilt because there are two, one on each side, same components, one left and one right. They are fully control the blade, so give the blade the angle and pitching as needed. So when you're going to your cutting, carry and dumping position, when you're cutting, give you the maximum productivity as needed to break the floor, and then carry will go all the way back to carry as much material as needed, and finally dump when you clean up. So it's a great feature on this machine to add it, and then this feature is actually standard for all D10. So if you order a D10, this will be standard on your machine. And if you have a dual tilt on your machine, you are having ABA, which is auto blade assist ABA technology on your system that we will go into more detail. Make sure you guys utilize that. Corey?
Yeah, that's a great point. So we made the dual tilt standard on the D10 for a couple reasons. One, most of our customers were already ordering dual tilt from the factory on the D10. And then two, it really adds productivity to your machine. So we've seen about 5% more productive using dual versus single tilt in applications. And for this size of machine, the productivity advantages outweigh having that single tilt option. So that's why we've gone to dual tilt standard on the D10. We've already had on the D11. It's a great option going forward. Let's go ahead and talk about next. I'm going to scoot over here a little bit. The next thing we're going to talk about is our single plane cooling. So this is something new that we introduced on the next generation dozers. We added on the D9, the D11, and now the D10. And what this is we take the single plane cooling, we took our stacked radiator cores that we had in the past, and we basically made them into a single plane. That's going to improve our cooling efficiency and also help out with maintenance and try to basically clean out that material if you get dust and debris, especially if you're working in, say, like a stockpile application and you need to be able to try to get on there frequently to clean out that material. That's a great way to do it. We have opened the quick access door. Ewan's going to talk about that a little bit more, but that's a great way to be able to get in there and clean out those radiator cores.
Yeah, as you can see right now, we opened a door for our webinar today, but normally it's closed. But it's very easy, just remote couple of the bolt, and then you'll be able to access the radiator to have quick cleanup. So it's a very good feature that we added for this D10 machine. It's also available at D9. So it's very good features for the very easy clean out and good serviceabilities. So next one we're going to talk about there's a sign that double yoke mount that is a removed greasy point. So from the lift cylinder to the frame, there's a point that we take out, reduce the maintenance touch point. We take out this greasy point, so it'll be much easier serviceable. You don't have to service that for a long time.
Yeah, those basically are now sealed joints that you know how long I have to service like you did on the past dozers. We already have this now on the D9. We carried over the D10 because we had such great success with it. So great new feature. Let's walk back to the back of the machine a little bit here. We're actually going to show you the push arm trunnion, replaceable push arm trunnion bearing. So, sorry, Ewan. Right here is going to be our push arm trunnion. And basically in the past, when those trunnions would wear out, you would have to go basically cut off the back of that push arm, and you would basically re-weld material back in there to service that. With this next generation dozers on the D9, D10, and now D11, we've added a replaceable bearing in this. So now you can replace that bearing without having to have a lot of maintenance and repair time associated with it. So replaceable component is great. Even better, we've made this retrofittable back to your older models. So if you need to put this on your D10T or your D10T2, you can do so and really reduce your maintenance time and repair time required for replacing those push arm trunnions.
Yeah, and next we want to talk about the undercarriage for a little bit. So we mentioned earlier for the fully suspended high drive. So you can see now this is a high drive and elevated sprocket. And if you want to service the final drive, you just need to take this component out. It's very modular and very easy to clean out for the final drive. So good serviceabilities. And Corey?
Yeah, so as we talk about undercarriage, undercarriage is a key maintenance item that you're going to have on your large dozers. We've seen up to about 40% of your maintenance repair costs can be spent on undercarriage. So we offer a variety of different undercarriage options for the D10 out of the factory. We introduced general duty undercarriage, new for the D10 Next Gen tractor. And what that is going to basically be an entry-level price point for your undercarriage. So if you're working on maybe softer underfoot or really don't have a high amount of undercarriage war points today, maybe general duty would be a good option for you. We're probably targeting around that 4,000 hours, but that's really going to depend on your application. The second option is going to be your heavy duty, so HD. That's your standard CAT undercarriage that you're familiar with. And with that, we probably target around 6,000 hours depending on your application. Finally, if you're looking for the longest longevity and maybe the lowest TCO for your undercarriage, we do offer HDXL, or heavy duty extended life with Duralink. And that's going to give you the longest life possible for your undercarriage. We're trying to target around 8,000 hours with that undercarriage. Again, it depends on your application. But with that undercarriage, you're going to have improved wear life because we have larger rollers, larger idlers, larger pins and bushings, and improved sealing technology in that undercarriage. That's really going to extend that life as much as possible. The other thing, we offer a variety of different shoe options. So you have moderate service shoes, which are going to be for your low impact type scenarios, maybe like a stockpile application. You have extreme service, which is going to be your standard CAT shoe that you're going to get. That's going to be a thicker, taller grouser. And then finally, we have a super extreme service shoe, or SES. That's going to give you your tallest, widest, and thickest pad on your grouser, or on your shoe itself. So that's your best option if you're struggling with getting shoe life. I would recommend you look at doing the super extreme service shoe.
So we understand the undercarriage is the largest operating cost for your repair cycle. So we do offer a customer value agreement, CVA, for the undercarriage to help you find out the best solution. So if you are interested in undercarriage CVA, please contact your local dealers. And then Corey?
Yeah, so the next thing we're going to talk about here is actually going to be our fire suppression system. So it's on the back of the machine. Because the way the machine is positioned here today, it's not really easy to show you guys, but we're going to show you on the screen for you. And so the fire suppression system, we have two options from the factory that Ewan's going to go in a little bit more detail, but we do have a factory install option and a fire suppression ready. So Ewan, can you give a little bit more detail on what the difference is?
Yeah, so the factory installed option, that is we put it on the tank and the nozzle, 16 nozzle and 2 tank, one on each side. And so we will do all the wiring and do all the installations for you before it delivered to you. So when it's delivered on site, you just need to charge up and it's all ready to go. Otherwise, you can select the fire suppression ready, which we will have the bracket installed on the platform, and you can install your own system as needed.
Yeah, it's a great option. We've gotten great feedback from our customers and dealers on this fire suppression system. It really helps cut down on the amount of prep time required from the dozer to go from your dealer to your job site. We've seen up to about 3 days reduction in prep time by having fire suppression already added from the factory. So great option. We've gotten great feedback from that, from these. Let's talk a little bit about the next generation ladder, huh?
Yeah, the next we talk about ladder is our next customer favorite. Everybody asking for it. So we added this for this new machine, and then you can see with this power ladder and a forward pinch door to the cab, you will have a straight path to the cab. So that's a very good and safe access for the operator. We have two switch, one on the handle. You can see there's a switch there up there, and one on the service center in the back. So like both of them can control the ladder. If you don't need it, you can retract it.
Yeah, it's a great point. So we've gotten great feedback on the ladder. The next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take you out to a video that we've previously recorded for you. Dave Gleisner, our former D10 application specialist, recorded this video. He's going to show the operation of the ladder, and he's also going to show you our next generation cab. So this cab is now aligned very well with the D9 and the D11. This D10 now is very similar fit, feel. When you get into the cab, it's all going to look and feel the same. So Dave's going to show you some more details on that.
To assist with access, Caterpillar offers an integrated ladder solution with quick response time and lockout protection to reduce unintended damage while the ladder is down. As I approach the cab, you'll notice the forward hinging door. Caterpillar now offers the forward hinging door for access off the ladder and the rearward hinging door for access off the tracks. Inside the cab, the first thing you'll notice is the updated operator interface. This interface provides intuitive access to all the critical systems on the machine, and navigation typically only requires 1 or 2 touches. As you can see, the main gauges, engine coolant temp, hydraulic oil temp, and powertrain oil temp stay on the screen as you navigate. From the main screen, the operator can also view the machine's pitch and roll indicator, workload monitor, control the lights, and access the machine camera. Below, the 10.1-inch touchscreen is our MindStar terrain display, if equipped. On my right is a screen for our vision system. CAT offers multiple vision options, and this machine is equipped with 360 vision. Through the use of 4 cameras, technology provides a bird's eye view around the dozer. In addition, the screen is configurable so the operator can choose what camera to see as the machine is shifted into gear. The D10 now uses a dial to easily adjust and maintain engine speed. Located in the same area is the bidirectional shift mode dial, auto downshift, and enhanced auto shift controls. The park brake has also been updated to a momentary contact switch. This is beneficial to the operator as it quickly allows them to get the machine back to an active state. Additional features in the cab include an updated HVAC panel with 2-position rocker switch and auto temp control, as well as a CAT entertainment radio with Bluetooth and hands-free microphone.
All right. Thank you very much, Dave, for putting that video together for us. As you can see, that next generation cab is absolutely gorgeous. Really fits well with the D9 and D11 where we're at. So one thing we are going to discuss real quick before we move on to another poll is on our lift cylinders. We do have replaceable bearings on our lift cylinders. So we want to make sure we touch this point. So if you are basically looking at reducing maintenance, this is one item we added to do that. Previously, you used to have a greasable joint up there for your lift cylinder mounts. These are now sealed bearings for your lift cylinders. It's a great feature that we've added. We had this on the D9. Now carried over the D10, we've gotten great feedback from that component.
It's a great time for a poll, right?
It is a great time for a poll.
Okay.
So the next thing we want to talk about is talk about a little bit on the value story. So what different things you guys care about when you look at dozer value, or what is most important to you in the value equation of your dozer or your operation? So we've put some options up here. First one, reducing fuel burn or carbon footprint. So if you're looking at trying to reduce as much of the fuel burn as possible, or you're focused mostly on emissions and trying to drive those emissions down, that's option number 1. Second option is going to be your increasing productivity. You want as most productive machine as possible. You're caring about you're getting your lowest cost per ton. You want that highest productivity possible. That would be number 2. Autonomous technology. Okay, we get a lot of requests for basically remote control, being autonomous, getting people out of the cabin in unsafe environments. If you're most concerned about this, autonomous technology, or just looking for additional technology on the machine to drive basically ease of use or improvement from your operators, that's what we'd recommend. Minimizing downtime, unplanned downtime especially. So if you're looking at minimizing unplanned downtime or your repair cost, that's option number 4. And option number 5 is tied more to maintenance. So reducing your live work on machine for maintenance, or maintenance time that you have to spend on the machine. If one of those is the most critical to you, what you would consider when you purchase a large dozer, please submit your answers on the screen. I think I have a good idea even where this might end up, but we'll see. I'm kind of curious.
This is tough. I mean, I want all of them, right?
Yeah, we designed to try to get all of them in here, right?
Yeah, but there's a priority, so we want to understand like what is our audience want first.
Yep, absolutely. So get those responses in. We're curious to see what you guys have to say about what is most concerning to you when you value your D10 dozers.
If they use it for production, they will probably care about productivities.
That's what I expect. So we had, what, 30% earlier on the productivity question?
So I bet on the
maybe we'll see B is going to be the top option.
Yeah, but at the same time, we want to reduce the cost. So.
All right, pretty evenly split. So repair cost and unplanned downtime is the number one. So about 37% there, and about 27% productivity. So pretty close to productivity tied to how many people had doing production dozing. So
yeah, those are good feedbacks.
Yeah, not a big surprise. Thank you for the responses. Great feedback. We really appreciate that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more on machine performance, huh?
So talk about the machine performance. We added some features on this machine. The load sensing hydraulic that's carried from D10T2. The hydraulic system will sense the load on the blade and then adjust accordingly. So it's a good feature for us to improve the fuel efficiency. And improves cooling system that we showed you earlier, the single pan cooling. That's a great feature for easy clean out. High horsepower reverse that's also carried from D10T2, and they just love it. We increase the speed during the reversing, reduce the cycle time, and increase the overall productivities. And then due to hydraulic that we mentioned you earlier, show you on both hydraulics. And then the stator cock torque divider that Corey will explain to you with more details.
Yeah, the stator clutch torque divider. So this is a key component where we got a majority of our efficiency gains from these next generation dozers. We had this on the D9 and D11. Now the D10's getting it. So really what the stator clutch is, if you look at a torque converter, there's a component inside the torque converter called a stator. And that stator basically can help add resistance or help direct flow of the fluid inside the torque converter. So you usually have two options with the stator. You can have a freewheel stator, which is your best efficiency, but not quite necessarily your highest rim pull or your drawbar that you're going to get out of that torque converter. Or the second option is you can do a fixed stator. Not good as efficiency, but you get a little bit better torque rise out of it. So what we've done, or what the engineers did here, was we said, let's make this the best of both worlds. And we said, let's add a clutch to the stator so we can turn that on and off. And we basically are doing this automatically through the integrated machine controls to say when we have high enough load, we'll go ahead and lock up that stator to give us maximum amount of drawbar capability out of the machine. As that load comes off, or we're running around in light load applications, we're going to have that stator unlocked. That's going to maximize our efficiency through the machine. So this is a great new feature that we've added to these next generation dozers. It does not require operator input. The operator is really not even going to feel the stator lock up or unlock. So it's really a seamless technology that we integrated on this machine, and it really helps improve efficiency on these next generation dozers. So very excited about this feature. We've had great feedback so far on the D9 and D11 on this.
Yeah, that is great to help with the fuel efficiency, isn't it, for this new feature?
Absolutely. That's really what's driving this. That's what's driving the fuel efficiency improvements that we've made.
So next, we want to mention some of the improvements that we did on the engine. So first of all, we increased our engine oil sum by 50%. So we extended from 250 hours to 500 hours. So by extending the oil change interval, we can reduce the maintenance time. Also, we added this fuel line, put it all internal now for the engine head to reduce the risks for leaking and external damages. We also added 2 coolant pressure sensors, so we will now have early detection for the coolant leaks. And then last one we carry from D10T2, the stainless steel manifold heat shield, to help with the surface temperature and increase safety to reduce the downtime.
Yeah, those are all great points, Ewan. So again, helping reduce that downtime and some of those maintenance points. So let's talk a little bit about technology. Now, these next generation dozers are infused with technology. We've had a lot of these features out there for a couple years. We've just basically continued to make further improvements upon them. We are going to put the technology video down in the link, I believe, on the page. So feel free to go out and look at that technology video. It's going to go a little bit more detail than what I'm going to go into here today. First one I'm going to really hit on real hard is ABA, so Auto Blade Assist. Again, we said this becomes standard now on the D10 with the dual tilt. So ABA is going to help control the blade pitch. You basically have an option to basically turn that on in the cab. Once your operator turns that on, they can preset their cut, carry, and dump portions of their cycle and how much blade pitch they want on that machine. And they can do that all through a click of a button on the right-hand joystick. So basically the first point, click it once, get in the cut position, click it again, put it in a carry position automatically, and click it one more time. It's going to automatically raise that blade and put it into the spread portion of the cycle. So great feature to help out, especially inexperienced operators, to improve their productivity. Next one we're going to talk about is auto carry. This is really where it's going to help you in the carry portion of the cycle. It's just going to raise and lower the blade based on how much machine load you have. So it's automatically going to keep that machine loaded to its optimal capacity. You can set how much load that you want on the machine or your load factor in through the operator display. And once that's set, it's going to try to maximize that productivity and raise and auto raise and lower the blade during your carry cycle of the portion. And next one, auto ripper control. So if you're doing a lot of ripping, this is a great feature because it helps automatically lower the ripper. You can automatically have that ripper shank in, so you don't have to worry about trying to control your auto shank in. It's automatically going to do for you. Once you get to into your ripping slot or your ripping pass, you're going to click the top button and it's going to raise that ripper up for you. So again, we're going to go into more details on those on the videos, but that's a quick summary of those technologies. The last one we're going to hit, Grade Control 3D. So the D10 has now added Grade 3D from the factory. So if you're a grade site or use grade on your other machines and you're looking at grade to your D10, you can now get it from the factory. Terrain with blade control, that's a carryover from the T2. Still there, we just have updated displays that we showed in the cab. Those displays are going to be great work for you because they're going to be much easier to use, much more user-friendly. So if you're using a MineStar site, you recommend you use Terrain with blade control.
So as I mentioned, we are the leader of the technology, especially for the remote control, or we call it commanding for dosing. So the first one, we offer two options. The first one is over-the-shoulder remote control console, which operator will have the line of sight up to maybe 400 meters. The second one is remote control station. This is a non-line of sight, as operator will have in a completely remote station. And this both features will provide customer a very safe spot while operating the machine. At the same time, they can, so the operator at the remote control station, he can operate multiple machines at the same time. That he can choose which one to operate and then switch to another one. This is a great feature for a cleanup where you have like two or different dozer at different spot. So the remote control technology, again, is a great way to take operator out of the hazard, like you operate in a high wall, for example, and also take the operator out of environmental exposure such as noise, dust, and vibration. So it's a very safe option for you to understand.
Yeah, we've gotten great feedback on the remote control. We have a lot of customers that really ask to have that remote control access to get their operators out of harm's way. This is a great way to do it, and you have two different options, the line of sight or non-line of sight. So if you're looking for remote control, contact your dealer. We'll get you set up with that on the machine. All right, so the last thing we want to talk about today is maintenance reduction, or maintenance and repair reduction on these D10s. So we did a lot of work. The engineers did a great job on this, on really driving home on reducing the maintenance repair cost on this machine. So we already talked about extending those oil change intervals from 250 hours to 500 hours. We've reduced fuel consumption through that stator clutch torque converter. Less fuel, you're going to be less maintenance and repair time. Improved our planetary transmission gear. So we've gotten feedback from our dealers when we go do those rebuilds, and we really try to drive those rebuilds on these large dozers. We have gone to a more modular design in that planetary transmissions to help out with some of the rebuild components inside that transmission. We've added clutch protection features. So if you're running high clutch temperatures, we're able to detect that now and warn the operator. Improved brake disc life. We've gone to new friction material on our brakes. That's going to extend our brake life on these D10s. Single plane cooling that we mentioned about, if we're running lower temperatures, we're going to have better longevity of our components. So lower temperatures is going to help out with our longevity. And finally, those replaceable push arm bearings, we've gotten a lot of feedback in the field from that. People are very excited about not having to go and cut and weld material onto these push arms anymore. So that's a great option for us. Finally, we increased our center lines, didn't we, Ewan?
Yeah, we increased center line from 14,000 to 16,000. This is just a rule of thumb. It really depends on your application, but with this increase, we will expect to reduce some repair cost per hours for sure.
Yeah, extended center lines are basically going to help you out with lower total cost of ownership. Extend that out to the next rebuild component. Right now, we're looking about a couple thousand hours on average, but really depends on your application. Expect to extend that life a little bit more drive that TCO down. That's what's most important to us. So just want to say thank you guys for joining. That's the last slide we have for content, and I think we're going to pass it back on to Alyssa, and we're going to get some questions.
This is Q&A time. If you have any questions, please enter in your chat box, and we will answer them live. So back to you, Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Ewan and Corey. As Ewan mentioned, we will now turn the presentation over to you to ask some questions. We have received already a few questions in our chat box. If you have not yet entered any questions that you might have into that chat box, please do so now. While we are waiting for more of those questions to come through, please note the QR code on the screen in front of you. If you're interested in receiving a quote or consultation with your local CAT dealer for a new D10 Dozer, please go ahead and scan that QR code. If you're interested in learning more about the D10, you can also visit our website at cat.com/D10. Okay, with that, we will jump into some questions. Our first question is, how many hours do we expect that large dozers will work out in the field?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, I would say like maybe 60,000 is what we generally will say, but I saw like 100,000 hours on our dozer, so it's really depends on application. If you have a light load application with cleanups, you will probably have much longer life. If you're doing really heavy like production application, you'll probably have a shorter life. So 60,000, I would say.
Yeah, so we guarantee our freedom to 60,000 hours, and then basically we've seen longer life than that. We've gotten examples of well over 100,000 hours, and we even got old R series out there still running today with that kind of hours on them. So these machines, a key point here, they're built to be rebuilt, go through multiple rebuild cycles on the same frame and the same core iron. That's really the key takeaway on that question. So no, great question. Thank you for that, Alyssa.
Definitely. Our next question is, where is the D10 built?
Yeah, that's one we get quite frequently, and we're proud to say as part of the Large Dozer Group that we still build all of the large dozers right across the river from where we're standing today at the SS manufacturing facility. So we've been building dozers for quite some time there. The D9 GC, the D9, D10, D11 all go through that same building. The D10 and D11 go down one line. The D9 and D9 GC go down another line. That's a great thing that we get to basically say that we have all of them are still built here right here in the United States at Building SS in East Peoria, where tractors started almost 100 years ago now.
Yeah, so whatever you order all around the world, we still build it right here and we ship it to whomever you order it. So you can say we build it right here at Peoria, where Caterpillar birthplace. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, both of you. Are any of the components in the D10 retrofittable back to older models?
You covered it?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, the blade, the ripper is pretty easy to retrofit to the D10 older model. And the push arm bearings, like what Corey said, that's a good features that you can retrofit to your old model. Anything else you can?
Yeah, so on the blade and ripper, really, like these will pin up. We did make some hardware changes on those blade and ripper. So if you do have those particular questions, reach out to the dealers. We'll get you the different part numbers you'll need for hardware on your blade and rippers, but they will pin up on the next generation dozers and be retrofittable back to your T2s. So some of your hydraulics and things can change. So if you have that detailed question on an older machine, we recommend you reach out to the dealer. We'll get you the specific answer you need for that machine to make sure we're not giving you poor information here. We want to make sure you're getting the right information. So.
Excellent. Thank you. We did have a question come through that says, is this the same machine that was shown at Mine Expo 2021?
Great question. It is very similar. So the one that we showed in Mine Expo in 2021 was one of our pilot machines that was going through the R&D process at the time and some of our field follow at one of our customer sites. This is basically the production version of that pilot machine. So very similar, and basically we're proud to say that we've made a great machine here and it's ready to go out to the field.
Thank you, Corey. That's perfect. How long will this machine stay in the visitor center?
That's a good question. It has been here almost 2 months now, right? I think we unfortunately Tanana Hills really want them back, so we have to get it out maybe next week. So we have 1 more week for you guys. If you are in Peoria, please come and check out this machine. It's still there.
Yep.
Just don't climb on it.
From there to Naha, we'll have the machine as we spoke about earlier. So if you want to see this machine, we can reach out to Tanaha and see if we can set up customer visits down at Tanaha Hills in Tucson.
Excellent. Talk to us about the cutting edges. Are the cutting edges similar to those of the D10 T2?
So we've gone to abrasion cutting edges, basically a standard. So all your blades now for your D10 versus your old T2 is going to be all abrasion options. So you have high abrasion. You're going to get those abrasive cutting edges standard now on your D10. The T2, I believe, had the options to go to the standard cutting edges. But we've gone all the abrasion here going forward because we feel like most of our D10s are running probably in abrasive environments or really just trying to extend those wear lives of those components. So that's what we've gone for the D10.
Excellent. Thank you. How does the D10 ship as far as component removal is concerned?
Great question. So it's going to depend, and I know that's a standard answer, but it depends on where it's going in the world. So we typically can either ship it with cab on for most locations. If it needs to go maybe overseas, we will ship it with cab off. It really just depends on where it's going and what the method of transportation is. The ROPS would never ship with the cab, though. They would have to be installed at site.
But no rippers and blades. Normally that shipped separately.
Correct. The ripper and blade would have to ship separate. So you're just going to get your base machine that's going to be shipped, and then the blade and ripper will be shipped on a separate truck or separate rail car, depending on how the shipment method is.
Excellent. Thank you. We're getting some wonderful questions. Thank you all very, very much. Make sure that you are entering any questions that you have in that chat box, and we will answer them live. Another question that has come through, are the same features that we've highlighted in this webinar for the D10 also available on the D11?
Some of them.
Yeah, some of the good features. D10, D11 is really good, very similar models. D11 also have the serial clock torque divider that Corey was explaining. So very good features on the fuel savings. And then they are standard with letters, I believe. So if you have a D11, you will have standard letters. And then the dual tilt, they are standard D11 as well. So if you order a D11, you will have dual tilt and you will have ABA, which is automatic blade control that we mentioned earlier. So be sure to use those good features.
Yeah, so your technology options, the cab that we showed earlier, those are all basically carry over to the D11. The only thing that's not currently right now is the replaceable lift arm bearings for your lift cylinders. Those are the only thing that right now is not carry over to the D11. Other than that, most of these features carry over. The single plane cooling that we talked about, the replaceable push arm bearings, the ladder access packages, the forward hinging door, those are all carry over to the D11. So great question. Most of this it does carry over though.
But they don't have the door, the radiator access door. That's only in D9 and D10.
Correct.
D11 just have bigger size, so it's harder to get it arranged. Yeah, but good question.
Well, thank you. How was the D10 shipped into the visitor center? It looks like a pretty big machine. So did it have to be reassembled once you got it inside?
Very carefully. So it took a whole team of people, and want to give basically a thank you to some of the engineers that came over. Vance, who was one of the team leads, drove it in, and it was very, very tight getting it in. But it was fully assembled with the blade on, and it barely cleared the door, but we were able to make it by a few inches to spare. So we did assemble it here on site at the visitor center, and then very carefully drove it into the visitor center.
Very interesting. We cannot touch the ground with our undercarriage, so we have to have all the boxes line up, and then so they can drive in and then move the box and then driving, and eventually have those yellow pads so we don't have to break the ground. So it's a very interesting project. And then we're gonna back out in a couple weeks, and it's just very interesting projects to be here. And to the impact to the community as well, they are just like so amazed to see actual working machine in our CAT visitor center.
Yeah, and the other thing, when we started this, trying to get this in the visitor center, I didn't think we'd have to worry about concrete thickness, and that's something we definitely had to go and ask was, can the concrete support this heavy of a machine? So luckily we got the answer that, yes, we're okay. So.
Yeah, so this machine is like maybe 70 tons.
70 tons.
70 tons.
155,000 pounds.
Right, that's a lot of weight to this normal ground, so we just want to make sure we don't crack their museum with pulling the machine in their museum.
No, great question. It was a lot of fun bringing this in here.
Quite an experience, definitely. When do you expect that I'll be able to visit the D10 at Tanaha Hills?
I don't have a great answer right now, but it'll probably be a month or two. They have to get the machine down there, shipped down there, assembled, go through their checks. So it'll probably be a safe time point would be sometime in middle to late December.
Excellent, thank you. We're getting some questions regarding the pricing of the D10, and I don't have those details, but please reach out to your local cat dealer and they will be able to set you up with a quote. Our next question is the trackpad retrofittable to any other D10 models?
Yep. So undercarriage is fully retrofittable back to your other D10 models. So undercarriage we did not change other than adding the additional offerings, but it's still retrofittable back to your older models.
Excellent, thank you. Can you touch a little bit more on the cooling package and maybe explain that in a little more detail?
Yeah, so in past designs, you used to have basically what we call stacked cores or stacked set of radiators. So you'd have one set of radiators in a plane, and in front of that you may have another set of coolers for maybe your transmission oil cooler. And so when you do those stacked cores, basically you have a void between them, and that adds an area for a lot of debris and material to basically accumulate. And when you start accumulating too much debris in there, you start reducing your cooling efficiency. So what we did with this next generation design was put all of those radiators and cooling packages on a single plane. So they're basically going to be all in line of each other. So a lot of good work by the engineering team to make that happen. And so now if you have to go clean out those radiator cores, you don't have to worry about trying to clean in between them. You basically got a front and a back of that radiator core to access. That's going to help out a lot with our cooling efficiency and basically with your clean out. So that's why we have the door open here for you guys today to be able to look in there. You can see inside that radiator. You can get in with an air wand very easily and clean out those radiator cores. So big improvement that we've made on these machines. So hopefully that answered the question on the radiators, single plane cooling.
Thank you, Corey. As a reminder, please make sure you're answering your questions into that chat box on the lower left-hand side of your screen. Did the weight change on the next generation D10?
It just increased a little bit. It really depends on like your attachment. So if you have a heavier ripper and heavier blade, but for the base machine from D10T to D10, it's only like a couple 100 pounds.
Yeah, it's really negligible. I mean, the amount of weight is basically the same. You know, as Ewan mentioned, it really depends more influence on what attachments or add-ons that you have on the machine rather than the base machine weight. The base machine weight largely is the same within a few hundred pounds.
The center of gravity did not change. So if you want to retrofit some of the blade, the center of gravity are the same.
Excellent. We love getting all of these questions and being able to answer them for you all live. This has been wonderful. Thank you all. What should I expect for track life?
So it goes back to what we talked about a little bit ago on undercarriage. It's going to depend on which undercarriage you buy from the price list or from your attachments and what environment that you're running into. So general duty, we try to target about that 4,000 hour range. Heavy duty, we're trying to target around 6,000 hours, and heavy duty XL, we're trying to target about 8,000 hours. That is highly, highly, highly dependent on your application. That's just basically a broad range of what we're trying to target, and as you can see, as we step up about a couple thousand hours as we go through the different track options that we have. Now, if you're shoe limited, you know, if you're using an MS shoe today and you have shoes wearing out first before your links and your pins, then we would recommend you go up to an ES shoe or a super extreme silver shoe to extend that shoe life by adding more wear material there on those components.
Excellent, thank you. What application do you see the D10 most commonly being used for?
As we mentioned, yeah, we just did a pool, right? So half of them as in production in mining, half of them in maybe support if you are supporting large trucks or large dozers. So that is pretty common to see the support and to see the production. But for the mining industry, is probably the most, I guess, the most we see. A very little limited percentage going to constructions.
Yeah. Yep. So it just about we're probably a little over 60% in mining, and then in mining it varies between production and support applications. I think the poll earlier did a pretty good job explaining what we thought it would be. I'd probably say we're probably a little heavier support than what the poll showed, but I think the poll did a pretty good representation of where we ended up.
Excellent, thank you. Throughout the presentation, we've referenced a few improvements, 4% less fuel consumption, for example. Where did we come up with these improvements? Was there a production or performance study conducted against a previous machine?
Yeah, so we did have a study of a D10 next gen versus D10 T2 side by side. That was maybe a couple of years ago when we did have a prototype, and then we had a really good numbers with those improvements. So those are the real numbers that we see, especially the stator clock torque divider have a big fuel savings that we see like the 4% fuel efficiency. And then for those numbers that we're showing you is from a mine simulation. So our performance engineer simulated the whole mine and how they're doing with D10 T2 with the engine and how they're doing with D10 and come up with those together at 6%. So those are pretty reliable number we can say from the improvement D10 T2 to the next gen D10.
Yeah, so we like to make sure we're backing up our information that we share with you guys with actual numbers behind the scenes, and that's what those production studies do for us.
Excellent, thank you. Talk to us about visibility on the new D10. Did the visibility change?
Visibilities are going to be about the same of what you've had on your D10 T2s. Not a big change. We didn't focus on doing this for this NPI program. Really worked on making sure we got those other improvements into the program that we talked about earlier. But
yeah. Go ahead. But we have those 360 vision camera. But thank you for that question. We did not mention on this. But we have, you can see we added the camera 4 on each side, and we have the 360 view, just like the car in your current car right now. So you can see a bird view with all stitched out the view, and you can see all everything around you. So it's a very good feature. And if you want to select only like front or in the back, and you can select that as well.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So that's where the technology comes in play. And sorry, the way I answered that was more the mechanical visibility. But yes, the technology does help us with visibility a lot. The one thing we did change on these next generation dozers was ripper visibility. So we do have a new cutout in the rear fuel tank, so you can see the ripper tip better penetrating the ground. That is one improvement we have made on visibility for ripping, is a little bit better window to see out the back where your fuel tank cutout is. So that's a good point. I should have added that earlier.
Thank you. As far as the ladder is concerned, is there an option for a right-hand side ladder system, or is the option being looked at, or is this option being looked at for the future?
Not today. Today it's only on the left-hand side, but that's a great feedback, and that's something that we can take back to our engineering teams. If it's a request from customers along the field, we'll certainly take that feedback, and we'll go back and see if we have enough pull to look at a right-hand side ladder.
Thank you very much. Does the D10 have a trash package option, or I guess this would be like a waste handling?
Yeah, so I will consider that like a more debris. So you can, right now, different from D10 T2 to D10, our price list is more like a la carte style. So you select whatever you needed. So you can select your reversing fan, that's good for high debris, and then you can select the shell clamp for the bottom guard. So that's great for the waste management. So look, those are little like price attachment that you can select for your D10 base model.
Yeah, we do not have a direct just waste handler arrangement like we've had in the past. It's more a la carte, as what Ewan just mentioned.
Excellent, thank you. Apologies, I wasn't able to get myself off of mute. How long will fuel last before you need to refuel with this new D10?
Yeah, so we try to design machines to go a whole shift without having to refuel. So we expect that's what you'll get out of these machines. Fuel is very tricky because it's highly dependent on application and what your fuel burn is going to be, but we do expect that you'll get at least one shift out of a full tank of fuel.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, I think that we are about out of time. Thank you so much for your attention and your participation. If we did not get a chance to answer your question, don't worry, we will follow up with you via email. Thank you once again. We really appreciate your time and attention. We appreciate you very much, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Caterpillar Mining webinar. Wherever you are in the whole world, have a great day.